Hello, my beautiful beaters, and welcome back into my channel. Thank you guys so much for being here, and welcome if you are new. I am Jen. Welcome, welcome, one and all. Happy Thursday. Let's start there. Happy Thursday, my friends. Happy Thursday. We almost made it to another weekend. So, yay, snaps for us. Today is my Friday from my day job, though, so that makes me happy. So, lots of fun things happening this weekend in my beauty world. I hope you guys will join me 10 a.m. this Saturday. That's a new Sparkle Bag launch day. It's the first Saturday of March. So, you all know what that means. A new Sparkle Bag coming your way. That will launch in live chat at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern. I sure hope to see you all there. Can always catch it on replay as always. So that's super exciting. And what do you say we just make a beautiful bracelet today and start there? And then we'll see where else we go. Beautifully. What we're doing here, my friends, is we are going to make a beautiful flower bracelet. This is so cute. It's very beginner friendly. I will show you how I am doing this. And of course the earring, if you are not familiar, or maybe just not familiar with exactly how I'm going to do it. And I hope this inspires you. So I'm using for the bracelet the same rondelles I was just speaking about, the 4mm. Here, let me get you way in. Let me get you up in there, girls. And you've got a mix of these gorgeous Hawaiian flowers in the bag, but you could use anything, right? They're so beautiful. I love these. I have them in several colors. I think you got a couple, maybe two, three different colors in your bag. They have a whitewash, right? And then that translucency on the other side. They're just beautiful. I love these so much. There's so much we can do with them. So I thought of this. So I'm going to use the blue and the baby light green. And the other thing I pulled out from my bag is this gorgeous lampwork heart. I also had these in some of my love bags from February, some of the Valentine bags I put out. If you grab those from me or bought any of these in my store, I may have some left. I'm not sure if they're sold out. I will check. I'll link them in the video for you guys. In fact, I will link what I have that's left in the store. These are gorgeous. So they are two-sided. I just love these flowers. All that hand painting is just stupendous. So you could also use that lamp work, right, to go in between. Let me show you kind of where we're going here, right? So you could also do the same thing with the lamp work. I think you got a couple of those in the bag. Or you could do some really pretty stations with any beautiful beads, right? You're just going to want to modify the count that I'm going to give you to make our little beaded beads here, our little round beaded little components. We're using two types of wire. So I'm going to use some bead stringing wire. I am using the Softflex 49 in bone. Okay, so that's the medium. Okay, and that is in that bone color. You can use any bead stringing wire you want. I do like the Softflex or even the Beadalon or the Beadsmith 49 strand. They all work really well, but just a 49 strand is going to work well for these right here. That's what I'm using for these. And then I'm going to use some 22 gauge craft wire in this gold. This is the Para wire. Okay, and that is over copper. It's tarnish resistant. You can use any gauge wire. I would stick really with an 18 or 20, but you know, you can always make what you want, but I like a 20 or a 22 gauge for something like this. I'm going to be using the same wire over here for the earrings as well, including the ear wire. And that's why I grabbed the 22 gauge, so I'm just using the same wire for the full earring. And by the way, guys, quick tip for you. The reason I use 22 gauge on my ear wires is because that's supposed to be like, you know, technically the correct gauge ear wire to go through your pierced earrings is actually 22 gauge. Now I do have some 21 gauge that do work well, but I do notice it's a little bit thicker if I use like going through my ear when I use a 20 gauge. So you can always modify that according to how your pierced ears are, but just a little FYI for you there. So that's what's happening. Let's get to it. So I have already made my first station here, okay? And I am going to go ahead and cut another piece or two of the wire, so we will make the rest of the components here. We're just going to do simple loops here on these, okay? So I'll straighten and warm that up a little bit. I'm going to grab my round nose and my bail making today. All the things, guys. We'll need some chain nose, some cutters, round nose. I'm using my 6-step on the ear wires today, so several tools. So I'm just going to cut a few pieces off here that are around 2.5 inches or so for my Hawaiian flowers. We don't need that much. Okay, so I am going to grab now a piece of soft flex wire, but I am not going to cut it off my spool. Okay, let's make the beaded portion first, and I will tell you my count. So on my little beaded stations here, and you can of course adjust this according to the size of your wrist, and notice I just put one Hawaiian flower in here, right? And my loop is just as small as it needs to be to go through my wire here, the soft flex, right? So we do not need that big of a loop. Okay, so if you want to have a smaller length, you can switch this out, like I was saying, for a smaller bead. And you can also maybe minus your little bead stations here, your little beaded beads. You can minus those by 2 beads if you needed to. Okay, I am using 12. So I have 12 on each of my little bead components here, 12 of the 4 millimeters. And then over here on the earring, I have 16. Okay, so let's make those first. Now, what I do, my friends, is I work right off the spool when I am doing something like this, because it does help to reserve your wire. So I'm going to go ahead and let's get 12 first. Just adjust your bead count according. But I found for my wrist size, which is, pretty standard, around 6.5, 6 3/4 or so, I am doing 12 beads on 5 stations. So I have 5, we'll have 5 of these, and then 4 Hawaiian flowers. And then that's why I pulled out that, all those jump rings. We will deal with length and make our own chain extender if we need out of my jump rings. So, and it'll be really pretty. So that helps our cause if we're a little short. So there's my 12 beads. I'm still on the spool, right? And now I'll grab a crimp tube. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and feed that through, and feed that down rather. And now I don't need that much, right? I do not need that much room, to crimp. So I can kind of eyeball about right there and then cut it from my spool, to tell you the truth. We do not need that much. And I'm going to cut it right here. And now we're going to just take the wire and put it through the crimp going the opposite way. We can also feed the crimp on first and cut it right off the spool, exactly. And then we'll pull these tails. And I'm going to just pull it as tight as I can get it, okay? And then I'm going to grab my magical crimp ring, and I'm going to put my magical crimper. Now when I put my tool in there, because I need to get that right perfectly, the divot of my plier right inside that crimp tube there, or over it rather, it's going to spread my beading wire out. So what I'll do is just give it another nice little pull on either side, and now I have plenty of room where I'm not cracking my beads, okay? And I'll go ahead and give it a squoze, and then I'm just going to stay right there, and I'm just going to turn it round and round. And what this is going to do is just help me make that tube a round bead, and becomes kind of part of your design. And there we go. And then we'll flush cut. And we'll do one more here for the earring. and just have that ready to go. So I'll show you guys one more time. So the other option is we can feed the crimp tube on first, because again, I'm working right off the spool as to reserve wire, right? So we can put the crimp tube on first, okay? And then we can feed on our beads. And again, I'm just giving you some tips here to reserve, because look, we all know the rising cost of everything, and we love our soft flex wire. And listen, it's not a cheap date. I love it. It's some of my favorite wire, and it's because it's some of the best wire out there. There's so much amazing design work you can do with the soft flex, as you all already know, because of the beautiful colors. The strength, flexibility, durability in this wire is bar none. And it truly, you can design with this wire showing in your design, right? So when I buy it, I try to reserve it, right? So there we go. So I've got my 16 on now for that earring, right? And I put my crimp on first. So now I can really reserve my wire, because I need to put my tail back through that crimp bead, right? But it's over here on the other side. That's where I started. So I'll put that crimp through that other bead stringing wire, and now what I'll do is pull, or rather hold that as I pull my spool, right? So I don't really have a whole lot of excess. Look, your girl over here is frugal when I need to be. And waste not, want not. You guys have heard me say that 1,000 times. But that's just me. That's how I roll. That's how I roll. Okay, so that's much, much better. So just gave myself a small enough of a tail. That's all I need. So that's all I'm going to end up wasting, right? And so literally, I've got that pulled nice and tight. I will put my magical crimper right in there. And as soon as I put that over that crimp tube and get that centered, that's really the trick. And many of you have been asking me about the magical crimper and fussing with it and the trouble. Listen, me too. And I don't always get it right with the magical crimper. That's why I have you so zoomed in, and I wanted to do this project, because you're going to do this quite a few times, 7 times to be exact, if you do this project with the earrings, right? And one of the tricks is really the amount of wire you have going through that crimp tube and the position of that tube in your plier. And you can see that that tube is perfectly centered inside my plier, right? And so I'm just going to hold it, and then I'm going to squeeze. Okay, and when I squeeze, we get our 4-corner ravioli, right? And so I'll just open and close, making small motions here, back and forth, within my little beaded component here, and not crack my beads. So I'm just opening and closing, making small little motions, going round and round until I don't feel any resistance, right? And that should do the job for us. And there we go. And now we can flush cut right off the spool here on the left, right? So great way to reserve some of your more expensive wires. So we wasted nothing there, and just a tiny little bit here. Tiny little bit of tail to cut off here. So beautiful, wonderbar. By the way, this bone is like my favorite color ever. And by the way, guys, this bracelet that I have on, ooh, I have something coming your guys' way. I have a new tying station, and I'm going to be showing you guys how to make this right here. Look at this cool bracelet. I love this. You see how my this is very, very beginner friendly. So I am definitely going to be getting back to this one. So we're done crimping, and that's for our earring. And so we have our 5 stations. Now we're just going to do some simple loops on our Hawaiian flowers today. So So I'm going to flush cut that first side. I'm going to use my smallest step here. I think that's plenty big enough to go through my little bead stations I just made. And I'm just going to roll that wire around, right, until it touches the inside of the other side of the wire. Now we have a side loop. And what I like to do is just kind of keep it in my plier, and you can kind of just kick it back a little bit by rotating my wrist to the right, and then that'll pretty well center our loop. There's many, many ways. I'll show you another way on the other side of this eye pen. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to put on my bead, and I'm going to do the same thing over here. But first I am going to put a bend in my wire, and then I'll trim using my finger as a guide there. Okay, and I'll roll in a loop. Now in this particular design, I am going to want to make sure that my loops are going the same direction. And so I just bent the wire the wrong way, so I'll have to do it upside down. And that's just a design aesthetic, because I want all the openings of my loops facing down, right? So let me put my wire back straight and go to the end of that wire. Let's turn in a loop. Okay, so our loop is turned in, right? So we have a side loop. And then we can grab some very thin nose pliers, and we can go right where that loop is meeting that wire. And we can, if I can get a hold to it, with just the tip of my plier, and we can kick it out. You see that? And now we've centered. Now we've gone ahead and made a centered loop. Lots of ways you can get your loop centered. Whatever works for you. So I'm going to go ahead and open this. We're going to feed this on this side. And that's going to go right there. And then we'll close the loop. Did I put it on right? Yep, I did. Did I? No. Upside down. My other loops are facing down. So we'll just set that right on in there and close that loop. Make sure that's nice and closed. Looks good. Okay, and so that's what we have. And now we'll open this loop and put it on the next station. And so if I put this one here like this, then what I'll do on the other side is I will just put it in between the 6 beads, because that's an even count of 12 I put on here. We'll roll that loop in, make sure that's nice and closed. And then we will make the next component exactly the same way. So I'm going to start out by flush cutting. And I will go to the end of my wire. I'm going to roll in a loop. Okay, and now there's my side loop. And then I can grab my chain nose. And I'm going to go, I can go either right below or right in between the loop there. When you go below, it will give you more distance between your loop and your bead. When you go inside the loop to kick it back, it'll give you less distance. So I usually go inside. It just depends on the design, right? So there we go. We'll feed on another bead. And again, I'm going to make sure I do this the right way. So my loop is facing towards me. Okay. And so now we will put a bend in the wire, and we'll go ahead and use our finger as a guide to trim that. And then we'll roll in a loop. And we can center that if we need to. It's not going to really matter too much on a design like this whether or not your loops are centered. You can do a centered loop, or you can do a side loop. It's really your preference. Okay, and now I'll open that up. And we will go ahead. Now I'm going to add this in between my 6 beads on each side. So it's just lining right up. And we'll put that right in there. And then we'll close that loop. It's going to be a really beautiful spring bracelet. Okay, and then we'll go over here. What's nice too about these flowers, guys, is notice, you know, they will turn around. There's a little movement there. So I didn't make my loops too tight, my little components, right? So just a cute little bracelet with these adorable flowers. Let me open that loop. I'm going to grab my next component and feed that on there. And close my loop. That down, and that's what that looks like. That's what that looks like. So cute. Okay, and now you can see the gap that I have right here, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is add my jump ring and my lobster so I can figure out my length. So let me grab another pair of pliers here. That's not the pair I want, so let me grab another pair. And I'm going to add that there. And then I am going to go ahead, and I think we're going to add it on this side where that crimp is. So let's get that on there. And we'll lock that in. And now I can see how many jump rings do I need. And I don't think many. So, okay, let's just do a little bit of extender chain here. I also grabbed these. I love these oval puffies. I call them my little oval puffies. This mix is stupendous. And I grabbed one of the dark purples. Oh, and a couple of head pins. So we'll just do a couple of dangles here. And these are some thicker gauge, probably about 20 gauge. So I can just do some simple loops here. I do not need to wire wrap it, but you could if you want to. You absolutely could. And I'm just going to do one of the fire polish. And we'll just grab the round nose and turn in a loop. And we can either open our jump ring or we can open up our loops, either one, to put our little dangles on. So I'm going to put my dangles on the very, very end jump ring here so I can clasp above that. So there's 1 and 2. And we'll lock that back. Adorable. And then I can clasp it about right there. Oh my goodness, you guys, look at that. So cute. So we've done our beaded station. So we'll just do some simple wire wrapping here. And so we'll just put a bend in. Let me get you guys in here. And what are we doing? I think I'm going to grab, once again, my veil making, and that's just so I have consistent loops on the top and bottom, and I'm using my smallest step here. So I'll put the tool right there in the bend, and we'll go up and around. I'm going to rotate my plier, and then I'm going to push that wire to the back, so we have our lollipop head there. Okay, and I'm going to remove that, and we will wrap it up. Looks like I did 3 wraps. Let me grab these pliers. So we'll go around 3 times here. And trim and tuck, guys. Trim and tuck. Which I'm just saying, listen, I need some trimming and tucking. I swear, guys, I'm telling you, every time I swear that it's like a week. Every week, I'm not kidding. I swear it feels like every week right now. I look in the mirror and I see more time marching across my face. I'm telling you guys, I need a little trim and tuck myself. I'm just saying. I'm not opposed to maybe a little Botox. You know, listen, I love natural beauty. Don't get me wrong. Let's not get this twisted. But, guys, you know, it's just, I don't know. It's just, it's aging. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, I've got my 3 little beads. There we go. Okay. And I am going to now have this loop facing me and the other one facing perpendicular away from me to hang on my ear wire. So I will have this loop this way to put this bend in my wire, right? And we'll go in here again with our plier right in that bend. And we'll pull that wire up and around and then rotate the tool, keeping the pressure of the tool on the top of that wire there to make our lollipop head. Push that wire to the back, and let's make sure we're all good and centered up here. Looks good to me. I'm gonna grab this wire, and 1, 2, and 3. Oh, voila. And we'll trim and tug. And let's get these pliers. And I've showed you this a couple of times, guys. I love these. Okay, these are the Xuron. These are the good guys. This is a crimping tool, right? I love this crimping tool. I go right in there to tuck my wire. And boy, I'm telling you, this is a game changer. This is a game changer right here, guys. Look at that. Look at how well that tucks in. Oh, love it. Love it. So, nice little trick. And you can use any crimper tool, actually. You can use your good old faithful as well. And now we'll just build that with some jump rings. So we'll just do some opening and closing of jump rings. The first one I'm going to add right there on where that crimp is. You know what you could do? You could also, dangle something below. But I made a nice long air wire for that intention. That's why I cut that longer piece of wire. I didn't want anything dangling on the bottom, actually. Now, I could have grabbed another one of the Hawaiian flowers. Here's another design idea. See, guys, look, I'm just trying to even finish one project, and I already have design. Guys, I have no shortage of ideas in my brain. This is a good thing. This is a good thing. What a great problem to have. I just want to tell you guys something else I just thought of. If you want to have real matchy-matchy, oh, man, let me tell you. Maybe do 20 instead of 16 of your 4mm on your beaded bead here. Okay, your beaded component. And put a dangle with the simple loop right at the top. Just use a head pin and dangle the flower, a flower right inside there too. How cute is that? That's another cute idea. Just thinking of it as I was looking at it. And I think we have one more jump ring. In this one, we will add our other component to it. I love them. So there's my third jump ring. And we'll pop that wire wrap component right on there. Let's get this closed up. And we'll make an ear wire. See if I can duplicate my ear wire. So what I did here was, it looks like a nice long one. Okay, let's see. So I'm going to use the largest step of my bail here, my friends. I'm going to put that wire in there. And let me see. Is that about it? Not quite. We can always trim. Actually, I'd rather trim from the back. So let me get this lined up here. And see. Probably, that looks about right. And I'm just going to pull this up and around. Before I remove it from my toe, I'm going to see if that was too long. Yes, it is. So I'm going to pull it back. Straighten that out. Let's pull it back a little. Looks a little better. Okay, so that's all we have. Something real simple. Straighten that wire out. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure these. It's easier to make them at the same time. That's okay. We can still do it. We can do hard things, guys. So I'm going to grab my flush cutters. I'm just going to kind of go right across and see where I need to cut that. About right there. Okay. And now, I think that's about right. Yep. And I'll just grab my chain nose pliers. We'll go ahead and let's just go right to the end of that ear wire and we'll kick it back. Just a smidge, right? And then we will also file. I'll file it off camera. Again, I am going to use the smallest step in my bail. And what I'm going to do in this case, friends, I have my loop facing front, right? So I want to turn my loop this way, okay? So I'm going to use the smallest bail. And so I'm going to put my bail making in just like this so I can roll away from me. I'm going to go right to the end of that wire and we'll just roll in a loop all the way around until the plier stops there, okay? And we'll remove it. And see that we need to keep going. Then we'll rotate my wrist and I'll just go ahead and keep pushing that wire right like that until that wire touches the inside, right? And the same thing I was just showing on the bracelet. There's lots of ways you can get your loop centered, right? So if I want to center it, I can keep it in my plier and kick it out. I can also put my chain nose right in that loop, the very, 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 very tip. And just go ahead and let's pull that back, right? Just like that, and we just centered it like an eye pin, right? And we're good to go. So let's see how good I did. Is it way too long? Let me see. Oh my God, you guys, look, I'm just saying. You guys saw me eyeball that? You know, I'm getting better every day. We have to give ourselves grace and glory, guys. And so I'm giving myself grace and glory on that because I never can make ear wires, I'm telling you, that are the same if I don't make them together. So that was luck. Man, luck of the Irish. Maybe the luck of the Irish is upon me. And I mean, it's a smidge. It's a smidge. Which I mean, come on. It's okay. It's okay, Jen. It's okay. So there we go, my lovies. Let me get you guys pulled out. Let's see what beautiful things we made today. Okay. And I want to clasp it up here on that second jump ring. Aw, you guys. I love this. My little flower bracelet. My little flower bracelet. And this is actually a gift. This is actually a gift for somebody. Let me get you off. Come on back. I really like that. I put the little puppy, the little oval puppy is there. So beautiful. Hope you guys enjoyed. And we'll see you in the next one, my friends. Have an awesome rest of your night. And keep sparkling and be blessed.